Yashodhanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodhanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Giridvaradari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Giridvaradari Jashodhanandana Braja Janaranjana Jashodhanandana Braja Janaranjana Jamunatira Vanachari Jamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Prabhupada 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 Srila Prabhupada 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 Jaya Prabhupada 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 Srila Prabhupada Jaya Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajikacharya Astotra Sata His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jaya Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajikacharya His Divine Grace Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada Ki Anant Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Prem Se Kosa Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shiva Sri Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. So, today we'll be reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 7, Verse 52. Okay, everyone has the sheets. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Okay, so we'll do a word for word of translate of the verse, text 52. Tasmin Brahmani Advitiye Kevale Paramatmani Brahma Rudrao Chabhutani Benanjo Nupasyati Tasmin Brahmani Advitye Kevale Paramatmani Brahma Rudra Chabhutani Beranjo Nupasyati Tasmin Brahmani Advitya Kevale Paramatmani Brahma Rudra Chabhutani Beranjo Nupasyati Tasmin Brahmani Advitye Kevale Paramatmani Brahma Rudra Chabhutani Beranjo Nupasyati. Prabhus. Tasmin Brahmani Advitye Kevale Paramatmani Brahma Rudra Chabhutani Bedhennajo Nupasyati. Tasmin Brahmani Advitye Kevale Paramatmani Brahma Rudra Chabhutani Bedhennajo Nupasyati. Tasmin Brahmani Advitye Kevala Paramatmani Brahma Rudra Chabhutani Bedhennajo Nupasyati. Tasmin Brahmani Advitye Kevale Paramatmani Brahma Rudra Chabhutani Bedhennajo Nupasyati. Okay, let's do the word-for-word translation. Tasmin, him. Brahmani, the Supreme Brahman. Advitye, without a second. Kevale, being one. Paramatmani, the Supersoul. Brahma Rudra, both Brahma and Shiva. Cha, and Bhutani, the living entities. Pirena, with separation. Agya, one who is not properly conversant. Anupasyati, thinks. Translation. The Lord continued, one who is not in proper knowledge thinks that the demigods, like Lord Brahma and Shiva, are independent, or he even thinks that the living entities are independent. Please repeat responsively. The Lord continued, one who is not in proper knowledge thinks that the demigods, like Lord Brahma and Shiva, are independent, or he even thinks that the living entities are independent. The living entity, purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. Living entities, including Brahma, are not independently separated, but are counted with the marginal potency of the Supreme Lord. The Supreme Lord, being the Supersoul in every living entity, including Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva, is directing everyone in the activities of the material modes of nature. No one can act independently of the sanction of the Lord, and therefore, indirectly, no one is different from the Supreme Person, certainly not Brahma and Rudra, who are incarnations of the material modes of passion and ignorance. Om Gyantmirandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chaksur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Shtapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupakdamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Parakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Shadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabando Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavan Eshwari Vrishabhanu Sutadevi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarupyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhyevacha Patitanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Thank you all for attending Srimad Bhagavatam class. Please give me your blessings that I may speak something that's in line with the teachings of our acharyas, and also something which is pleasing to the ear of the Vaishnavas. So today's purport and verse, it's quite short and quite simple. So we'll spend a little bit of time explaining and discussing the purport, and after which we'll have a little bit of katha about Srila Narottam Das Thakur, as it is his appearance or disappearance day? Disappearance. Okay, but yeah. Disappearance, yeah. Disappearance day of Narottam Das Thakur. So we'll speak a little bit about that. Okay, so in this verse, the Lord is explaining that one who is in proper knowledge, dhira, one who is sober, one who is not in proper knowledge, one who is adhira, who thinks that the demigods like Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva are independent. So this is also part of the second offense to the holy name, considering the names of demigods like Lord Shiva or Lord Brahma to be equal to or independent of the name of Lord Vishnu. So it's very important that we don't make this mistake, of thinking that these exalted personalities are one with God. We see in Srila Prabhupada's case with his disciples, even though he exemplified so many godly qualities, he exemplified so many pure qualities of being this elevated person. Even when there was the Rath Yatra in New York, I think there were the two police officers, just some random, American police officers, and they saw Srila Prabhupada at this Rath Yatra, and one of them, he tapped Sham Sundar and he said, "Hey, that guy's glowing." So Prabhupada, he had this effulgence about him. He was an extremely elevated personality, but he always made sure that his disciples knew, I am a servant of God. I am not God. And in the case of New Vrindavan, and I think there were a few other places where some of the sannyasi disciples of Srila Prabhupada, some of the early sannyasi disciples, they were feeling that Prabhupada left to India because we did not realize that Prabhupada is actually God. Prabhupada is actually Krishna. And when Prabhupada heard about this, he became furious. And he explained that, over and over again, I've tried to teach that I am not God, I am the servant of God. And he actually explained this as a disease, to think that somebody who is not God, an exalted personality, is God. It's an offense to the personality being a servant of Krishna, and it's an offense to the person, to Krishna. So Prabhupada made this point very clear. And similarly with these exalted personalities like Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva, who also they show these very amazing qualities, in terms as far as the jiva goes. Lord Brahma, he is made of intelligence. Lord Brahma his whole body is intelligence. So we have these material bodies, and I don't know how often your hand kind of starts writing Sanskrit slokas without you thinking about it. But this is Lord Brahma. Lord Brahma's body is intelligence. Lord Shiva is Ashutosh. He sits in meditation, and just as people come, he can give them whatever they want. He doesn't need to blink a eyelid. He can give one whatever material benediction one wants. So Lord Shiva has this quality, but it's important that we don't misunderstand. Even though these exalted personalities have such qualities, they are not Lord Krishna. They are not equal to Lord Vishnu. They are not independent of Lord Krishna, because actually all of their potency, everything that they are, it actually comes from Lord Krishna. Lord Krishna is the source of all the Shakti. Lord Krishna, he gives all these entities, all these demigods, the ability to actually manifest such qualities. He gives the devotees like Srila Prabhupada the mercy that he can actually exude these godly qualities. So this is all coming from the Supreme Lord, Lord Krishna. And we shouldn't misunderstand that any auspicious thing, even any inauspicious thing, everything comes from Krishna ultimately. And as far as the next part of the verse, the living entities, they are not independent either. This is the next part. We hear often in our Vaishnava philosophy that the reason that the living entities fall down from the spiritual world is because we have this tendency to think that we're independent, that we can act as God. This is the reason the living entity falls down from the spiritual platform, from the platform of loving service to Radha and Krishna, because the living entity gets some crazy idea, somehow or the other, that I'm God. So that's what Krishna makes this material world for us to act whimsically and do whatever we want and feel that we're God. But actually we're still, even though we're in this material world where Krishna is seemingly so separated, we can't really see Krishna directly. We see Krishna in the deity form, we see Krishna in his holy name, we see Krishna in the form of Bhagavatam, but these are all somewhat covered to our material eyes. So in this material world, it's very difficult to see Krishna, because this place is not a place where Krishna takes the prominent position. This material world is where we try and take the prominent position. So if the living entity understands, that Krishna is actually, Krishna is everywhere. Krishna is in his deity form, is in the form of Bhagavatam, in the holy name. Then the living entity can, start to come to understand Krishna more directly. But as of now, we see the world as being different from Krishna. But actually, in fact, we are always part and parcel of Krishna. Krishna remains in our heart as the super soul. Krishna remains in the atom. Krishna remains as Garbhodakshay Vishnu, Kshirodakshay Vishnu, in the various forms within the universe, Mahavishnu. So Krishna is very much a part of the material universe. So even though we don't see him directly, still the living entities are not at all independent. We come from Krishna. Krishna is everything. Krishna is around us. So there's no question of independence, of the living being independent from Lord Krishna. There's no question of then these exalted personalities being independent of Lord Krishna. Then further in the purport, Prabhupada, he mentions, no one is different from the Supreme Person. no one can act independently of the sanction of the Lord, and therefore, indirectly, no one is different from the Supreme Person. Certainly not Brahma and Rudra, who are incarnations of the material modes of passion and ignorance. So again, indirectly, the Lord is present, in the form of his Shakti. So, that's basically this purport. We'll move on now to some katha about Narottam Das Thakur, with the blessings of everyone. I got most of this information from His Holiness Indradyumna Maharaj. He does wonderful dives into the scripture, and he gains all these various details about Vrindavan, about the acharyas, and so forth. So we'll try and say something about Narottam Das Thakur now on his disappearance day. So various acharyas in our line, they've described Narottam Das Thakur as being a manjari in the spiritual world, and there's a little bit of a debate between the acharyas on whether Narottam Das Thakur is Champaka manjari or Bilasa manjari. There's a little bit of a discrepancy, but nevertheless he is one of the manjaris, either Champaka or Bilasa manjari. And Narottam Das Thakur is a very exalted personality. He was called out by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu before he was even born. So one time Lord Chaitanya and his associates, they were in a wild kirtan on the banks of a river in Kaituri, Bengal, and was really amazing kirtan. And all of a sudden, in the middle of this kirtan, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu started calling out, Narottama, Narottama. He started screaming out the name of Narottam Das Thakur. And soon after, going on chanting like this, he fainted actually in ecstasy, mentioning his pure devotee. But the devotees around, they were somewhat confused, and Lord Nityananda was also somewhat confused because they didn't know, who is this Narottama. And so while he was unconscious, Lord Chaitanya was unconscious, Lord Nityananda came and faintly whispered in his ear, inquiring, about, who is this Narottam. And Lord Chaitanya then, he came back to consciousness, and he explained that, Narottam Das Thakur will be a great personality, one of my devotees, who comes soon, and I will bless him with the totality of love of God. So Lord Chaitanya then after that spoke to the manifested personal form of the river Padmavati, and he mentions to her that this personality Narottam, he will come and he'll take bath in your river, and he gives her this golden pot that contains the totality of love of God that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu holds. And he says to her, okay, so when this personality comes, you have to take this pot and pour it over him, this liquid prema. And the river Padmavati, she said, so many people, they come, they bath daily in the river. How will I know who this Narottam is? How will I, make some discrepancy? Who is this character? And Lord Chaitanya then explains that when Narottam comes, the banks of your river will overflow with prema. So already, Narottam Das Thakur, he already has this prema, Lord Chaitanya is explaining. He already has this overflowing love of God within him. And soon after that, you'll get another dose of the totality of love of God that Lord Chaitanya is giving. And so soon after, Lord Chaitanya leaves the place and time goes on. And then in the 1500s, the early 1500s, in the month of Magh in Kaituri, Narottam Das Thakur is born. And he's born to a royal family, the family of a king. And he's brought up, as a prince. So he lives in comfort, complete royalty. He has whatever he wants. And when he was born, the priest or the astrologer, he mentioned that, this Narottam, You will be a great personality. You will do many great things. But make sure that he does not take bath in a large body of water. Otherwise, what will happen? He gets the overflow of Krishna Prem. And the astrologer, he doesn't say he'll get Krishna Prem. He says to the family, he will go mad. Narottam Das Thakur will go mad after taking bath in this large body of water. So they were somewhat wary of this, and they took some precautions to make sure that Narottam never goes to bath in a large body of water. Soon after, Narottam Das Thakur, he has his first his Anaprastha ceremony. I think it's called Anaprastha, the first grain ceremony, and he refuses to take the grain. He doesn't want it. He doesn't want to take the grain. And so everyone was quite bewildered. Jai Shri Shri Radha Radhanath Ki. Yes, so Narottam Das Thakur, he was stubborn. No matter what they did, he wouldn't take the grain. And soon after that, after having no idea what to do, a Brahmin came with some grain that he had offered to his deity. And immediately, Narottam Das Thakur took the grain. So this was a pointer, this was a sign towards Narottam Das Thakur's divinity, that he wouldn't take anything unless it's prasadam. And this is what Prabhupada has given us, control the tongue by taking only prasad. So Narottam Das Thakur exemplified this. He wouldn't take anything unless it was prasadam at the age of 6 months old, without blinking an eye. So then later on, Narottam Das Thakur, he became a student. He went to school, and he was very expert. He mastered all the material arts. He became a very keen learner. He understood many, many things. He was a great, great scholar. And, at this point, it's looking like, okay, the prediction is going to come true. This boy, he's doing amazing at school. He is fixed, in religious practice, and he's the son of a king. What could go wrong? He's definitely going to become this great leader of society. But a seed was soon planted, and Narottam Das Thakur, he soon started hearing his favorite topic out of all the subjects that he was learning was to hear Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi Leela, Madhya Leela, and Antya Leela from a Brahmana named Krishna Das. And this Brahmana, he was a great devotee of Lord Chaitanya, and Narottam Das Thakur would sit at his feet in a very lowly position. Shri Guru Charanam Padma Kevala Bhakati Sadma. The only way by which we can attain pure devotional service is at the lotus feet of the spiritual master. So like this, Narottam Das Thakur was cultivating this Krishna Bhakti by sitting at the lotus feet of this Brahmana, Krishna Das. And he became very absorbed in the pastimes from a very young age, and this is where he begins to develop this overflowing love of Godhead. And so sometime later, in his later life, one night he went to bed, and Lord Nityananda actually appears to him in a dream. Lord Nityananda appears, and he tells Narottam Das Thakur, at sunrise tomorrow morning, you should go to the Padmavati and take your bath. And this is where the story gets interesting. So he goes, and Lord Nityananda has promised him, you will attain Gaura Prem by taking this bath. And he goes with great enthusiasm early in the morning without anyone knowing where he's going. He goes and he takes bath in the Padmavati. And soon after that, Padmavati realizes the banks are overflowing. Krishna Prem is overflowing on the banks of this river. And she remembers the instructions of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And she takes this pot of golden Prem, and she pours it over Narottam. And at that point, Narottam Das Thakur's skin was actually a darkish complexion, it turned golden, just like Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And this is also what happened in there was another case. Does anyone remember the story, the other story where a great devotee gets the color of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? The Nakula the Brahmachari, Nakula Das Brahmachari. He also he was a very fixed, steady brahmachari, and soon after Lord Chaitanya, he said that he would use this brahmachari as a tool to spread love of Godhead. And Lord Chaitanya gave him this golden complexion and the sentiment of Gora Prem. And then who was it? One of Lord Chaitanya's associates then comes and he doubts that this brahmachari, Nakula Das Brahmachari, is actually, an incarnation, or is actually exhibiting Gaura Prem. Because he's becoming very famous, he's exhibiting the features, he's exhibiting the qualities of Lord Chaitanya and Gaura Prem. And this associate, he feels, this might be a sahaja. So he goes and he goes to inquire about this Nakula Brahmachari, and he finds that he's at the such and such place, and he's actually giving some discourse now. He's actually on the Vyasa now. So he thinks to himself, if this brahmachari, if you can tell me my worshipable mantra, then I will accept that you have achieved the mercy of Lord Chaitanya. And so soon after, Nakula Das Brahmachari calls out for this associate. What is his name? He was feeding the dog. Does anyone remember his name? He traveled with a party from Bengal, and he had the dog. Shivananda Sen. So yeah, Shivananda Sen. He said, "Where's Shivananda Sen? Bring him here." This Nakula Das Brahmachari. And he calls Shivananda Sen over, and then he tells him, your worshipful mantra is the Gopal mantra. And then Shivananda Sen understood that, yes, in fact, this person, he's achieved love of God, he's achieved the mercy of Lord Chaitanya. So similarly, with Narottam Das Thakur, when he achieved this Gaura Prem, after Lord Chaitanya had poured this golden pot of liquid prem over him, he started exhibiting these symptoms, the eight symptoms of ecstasy. He was stunned, he was perspiring, hair standing on end, faltering of voice, trembling of the body, changing of bodily colors, shedding of tears, and devastation. So Narottam Das Thakur was on the bank of the river, and he was rolling in ecstasy of love of Godhead. And he was calling out, Gauranga, 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 calling for Lord Gauranga. And so sometime after that, some of his associates, the associates of his family, they came and they found Narottam and they brought him back to the palace. And soon after that, his mother came to understand, what had happened, and she's inquiring, she's stunned, what is happening? What is the meaning of this? And Narottam Das Thakur, he's mad with ecstasy, with love of God, and he mentions, or he alludes to the fact that he wants to leave home. He wants to go and find this golden Brahmana who appeared to him, this golden form of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He wants to go find this person. Who is this person? And this becomes a burning desire. And so his parents are shocked. What happened to our son? He was a prince, he was a great scholar, he was going to become one of the great leaders of the world, he was going to do such great things. But he's gone mad, and they thought that he was haunted by a ghost. So they understood this boy, he's going to try and renounce, he's going to try and go and take sannyas. So they locked him up in the room, they locked him in one of the rooms in the palace, and they wouldn't allow him to leave. But soon, after some time, Narottam Das Thakur, he found his way. He escaped. He got out of the out of the prison, out of the locked room, and he took a 3-month journey to Vrindavan. And now Narottam Das Thakur, he's a prince. He's grown up in royalty that we cannot imagine nowadays. I mean, even us now, we've been brought up in somewhat comfortable lives. We don't have to go and take bath in a river somewhere. We have a nice shower. We don't have to take up various austerities. Wake up, well, before devotional life. Wake up early. Our bodies are quite unfit. We've been eating the wrong things. So we have somewhat of this tendency to not be able to take up austerity. But Narottam Das Thakur, he was on a whole different level of comfort, not taking up any hard work. We take up some hard work in this age of Kali. We have to go to school. We have to do these things. But now he's taking this 3-month journey on foot from Bengal, from East Bengal, all the way to Vrindavan. And he's going through the jungle. So naturally, being a prince, he finds some difficulty, and the journey is quite slow for him. But soon afterwards, they send some soldiers to find. They realize, Narottam is gone, and they send some soldiers to find this lost prince who is trying to become a renunciate. And they chase after him, and the soldiers eventually catch him, and they're ready to, take him back. And then Narottam Das Thakur, he says an interesting thing to them. He says to these soldiers, just as when a young girl falls in love with a young boy, naturally she does not want to do anything but go to the abode of the lover and be with the lover. So similarly, when one's heart is captured by the Supreme Lord, by Lord Hari, then naturally one will want to be in his abode and be with him. So this desire became so strong, and it was true sincerity. Sincerity means what you're presenting outside is the same as how you're feeling inside. So Narottam Das Thakur, he's expressing truly, what he feels inside. And when there is sincerity, then it becomes very attractive to whoever. So when we're preaching, if we have sincerity, then naturally they'll be receptive to hearing us. But if we're just saying some words that we've heard, just kind of rambling it off about Krishna consciousness, but we haven't truly imbibed these moods, then they won't believe us. They'll see right through it, and they might smile and wave, but it'll be very difficult to actually preach to them. So these soldiers, they could feel, even though these are, soldiers, they aren't Brahmins, they aren't religious people who feel that, who dive deeply into the study of the scripture, still they can identify, even though they're in this position, they can identify with Narottam's sincerity. And they became so touched by these words that, just as a young girl falls in love with a young boy and deeply desires to go to the abode, similarly, when one gives his heart to the Supreme Lord, one has to go and be with the Lord. One has to go and live in the abode of the Lord. So Narottam is expressing this with such sincerity that these soldiers, they actually let him go against the order of the king. And this is a very rare instance. In Vedic times, the Kshatriya, he does what he's ordered. He carries out his duty. He doesn't just allow things to go by. He does what he needs to do. Just like Arjuna in the battlefield. He had some confusion, but the nature of the Kshatriya is to do his duty. So these soldiers, they realize, this person is very sincere, and they let him go. And so Narottam Das Thakur, he continued on his journey. And he's very set in the mindset that he wants to become a renunciate. And so Narottam Das Thakur then, he continues, but soon after he becomes very exhausted, and he feels that he can't carry on. And he's actually at the point of, losing his consciousness and just lying down, and maybe even death is coming. But then a golden Brahmana appears before him. Golden Brahmana appears before him with some milk. And he gives Narottam Das Thakur this milk. in this exhausted state. And soon after, Narottam Das Thakur, he passes out after receiving this milk. And then in a dream, Sri Rupa and Sri Sanatan Goswami, they come to Narottam and they say, Lord Mahaprabhu, Lord Gauranga, he's come and he's given you this milk for your nourishment. Take this and continue on your journey to Vrindavan. So we can see how exalted this personality is. He has the association of Lord Nityananda, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Lord Sri Rupa, Sri Sanatan, before even going really into Vrindavan, before becoming a renunciate. He's already getting this association because of this desire. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says that as one surrenders unto me, I reciprocate accordingly. So the surrender of the soul of Narottam Das Thakur, it attracts the mercy, and it attracted the mercy of these personalities. So Narottam Das Thakur, he takes this milk and he continues on his journey to Sri Vrindavan Dham. And when he gets to Sri Vrindavan Dham, what's the next part? He meets his spiritual, or one of his Shiksha Gurus who gives him some shelter, Srila Jiva Goswami. And at this time, most of the other personalities have actually left the world. Lord Chaitanya, Lord Nityananda, actually physically they weren't there. So he meets Srila Jiva Goswami and he gets some shelter from Srila Jiva Goswami. And then soon after he finds his Diksha Guru, Lokanath Goswami. And this is what we're singing in the morning. We're singing the song by Narottam Das Thakur to his spiritual master, Lokanath Lokera Jivana, Haha Prabhu Koredoya Deho More Parashaya. So he accepts the lotus feet of his Guru Maharaj as his only shelter. And soon after, Lokanath Goswami, he gives him initiation. And at this initiation, something very rare happens, something that definitely doesn't happen nowadays, shouldn't happen nowadays. Lokanath Goswami actually reveals Narottam Das Thakur's identity, as either Bilas or Champak Manjari in the spiritual world. And this is a very, very rare occasion. But he does this. Lokanath is a very highly elevated personality, and so is Narottam Das Thakur. So this exchange happens. And he starts to cultivate him into, Raganuga Bhakti and into the higher realms of Bhakti, just at the time of initiation. And shortly after that, Narottam Das Thakur has another dream. And now he's had dreams of Lord Nityananda. Okay? And then after that, he gets Lord Gauranga's mercy. So similarly, we get the mercy of Lord Nityananda, then we get Lord Chaitanya's mercy. And now, after getting Lord Chaitanya's mercy, he gets audience, he gets darshan with Srimati Radharani in a dream. So, Srimati Radharani then tells him, dedicate yourself to the feet of your Guru and do whatever he asks you. Your sincerity and austerity have pleased me. I will see that you are engaged in a very confidential service here in Goloka, Vrindavan. My attendants make a special milk-based preparation of and Champakalata is the most efficient gopi in the service, and you, as her servant, will boil the milk. So Narottam Das Thakur, his service in Goloka Vrindavan, one of his main services is to boil milk for the divine couple. And what did Lord Chaitanya do for him? Lord Chaitanya brought him some milk. So you can see how sweet these pastimes are, how sweet Lord Krishna's dealings with his devotees are. So Narottam Das Thakur, he gets this instruction, from Srimati Radharani, and later on, he starts meditating. He starts going into Manasi Seva, like Radhika Jivan Prabhu was mentioning earlier in his, I think it was either yesterday or the day before, in his class. He was mentioning how there was the one Brahmana, the poor Brahmana, who he couldn't afford to do his service, his temple service. He started meditating upon serving the Lord, meditating upon the temple, upon cooking for the Lord, and he tests the sweet rice to see if it is too hot, and then he burns his finger. In his meditation, he burns his finger, and when he wakes up, when he comes to consciousness, he sees his finger is also burnt. So Narottam Das Thakur experiences a similar thing. He's engaging in the seva of boiling milk for Chambakalata in the spiritual world. And he experiences sometimes burns on his hand. And when he comes out of this meditation, he actually sees that he has these burns. So these are very elevated discussions. I'm very unqualified to discuss further and explain some purport behind it. But one thing that I did want to end off with is Srimati Radharani's statement. She says to Narottam Das Thakur, "Dedicate yourself to the feet of your Guru and do whatever he asks you. Your sincerity and austerity have pleased me, and I will see that you are engaged in a very confidential service here in Goloka Vrindavan. My attendants make a special milk-based preparation, and Chambakalata is the most efficient gopi in the service, and you, as a servant, will boil the milk." So even though Goloka Vrindavan is very far away for us, extremely far away from us, today we're discussing in Srimad Bhagavatam about the modes of material nature. We're speaking about Lord Shiva, Lord Brahma, how they are not independent from the Lord. So we're at the very beginning stages of devotional service right now. We're understanding, who is Krishna in terms of this universe, because this is where we are. We're trying to understand Krishna in terms of the universe. We're trying to understand Krishna in terms of, who he is to his devotees, what he does for his devotees in the material universe. We're trying to understand Guru Tattva in this universe, how the Guru is appearing to us as a very confidential servant. And these are the very basic ABC levels of spiritual life that we're engaging in now. But the Guru, if we have some sincerity, if we take the shelter of a bona fide spiritual master like Srila Prabhupada, like his disciples, we endeavor to take this shelter, and we sincerely do whatever he asks us with no consideration. When the Guru asks you something, you make a plan to do it. When we do this, when we follow not just what he tells us directly, because sometimes the instructions, many people like Jayapataka Maharaj, he has thousands of disciples. He can't really individually give everyone instruction, but he gives general instructions. Prabhupada gives general instructions in his book. And when we follow these instructions, following, chanting 16 rounds attentively, following the 4 regulative principles, doing some seva, not offending the Vaishnavas. When we do these things with Guru in mind, firstly, these things become easy. When Guru is in mind, things become easy. Guru as representative of Lord Chaitanya, in the beginning of the Chaitanya Charitamrita, it is said that even very simple things, very easy things become extremely difficult if one does not remember Lord Chaitanya. Even simple things become extremely difficult. And even the most difficult things become extremely easy when one remembers Lord Chaitanya. So the Guru being the representative, if one remembers the Guru as this representative of Lord Chaitanya, he empowers you. He empowers you to do the instruction, to carry out the instruction. So we should take care to understand what the Guru is asking us, to understand what his instructions are through his books and through his lectures, his talks, and also through personal instruction. And if we do like this very nicely, we take shelter of our spiritual master's lotus feet, then as Srimati Radharani is exemplifying here, we'll go back to Goloka Vrindavan. We'll be taken directly into our service in Goloka Vrindavan, just by the mercy of the spiritual master. Like like Srila Prabhupada said, just hold on to my dhoti. I have the key for the back door, even though we're so unqualified. We cannot imagine, going to the spiritual world at this moment, we're in these material bodies, we become so bewildered by seeing anything very, very attractive, the opposite sex, nice houses, nice cars. In Goloka Vrindavan, the people there are thousands of times more beautiful than any man or woman in this material world. The devotees there have forms that are infinitely more beautiful. Every song is a dance. Every step is a dance, sorry. Every word is a song. So, in Goloka Vrindavan, everything is very much more attractive. So, for us as these conditioned souls, we already get bewildered in this ugly material world by some small drops of light, some small things that can elude us. In Goloka Vrindavan, things are much more attractive. You have to be on a much higher consciousness to be there. But by the mercy of the Guru, by the mercy of following his instructions, holding on to his instructions, taking shelter, Haha Prabhu Koradoya, Deho More Parashaya, please accept me at your lotus feet. By doing this, Srimati Radharani, she'll engage us in our service. Lord Balaram will engage us in our service. Mother Yashoda will engage us in our service. In some way or the other. This is by the mercy of the Guru. And then another thing, your sincerity and austerity have pleased me. Becoming sincere in what we do. Not doing things externally. Our internal and our external must be the same. Whatever we're presenting outside, it must be inside as well. Otherwise it's false ego, ahankar. You're doing things so that people can see, oh, he's like this. So, simplicity, sincerity, austerity, taking up some austerity for Krishna, chanting some extra rounds. And now it's Kartik, we can take up some extra vrat, do some extra rounds, 4 extra rounds, 5 extra rounds. If you're doing no rounds, chant two rounds, like this. Take up some austerity, and especially in this month of Kartik, we'll definitely get much more mercy from the Guru. And this is eternal benefit. And one day we'll be taken to our service in Goloka Vrindavan. Guaranteed. Guaranteed. That's what Srimati Radharani is saying. That's what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is saying, Lord Nityananda is saying, Srila Prabhupada is saying. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. If there are any corrections or comments, I would like to take those. Could you bring that mic to Mataji?
Krishna. So thank you, very nice for that wonderful class. And yeah, I remember those pastimes of Narottam Das Thakur when my Gururaj Indradumna Swami went to Keturi, and he related these pastimes very nicely. That was some time ago, and I quite forgot, so you reminded me of that. Thank you. And also, you made the point of taking shelter of Guru, as Narottam Das Thakur took shelter of Lokanath Goswami. So the most important item is to please the spiritual master. When the spiritual master is pleased, then Krishna is pleased. So we should try to please the spiritual master in whatever we do. And sometimes the spiritual master may chastise us also. So that's there, and that is for our own purification. Now at that time we should not think, I should just leave the spiritual master and not practice Krishna consciousness because of this heavy chastisement. It's there to cut the false ego that we have, right? To slash the false ego. So yes, so we should take it as a mercy of the Guru that is chastising us. And the spiritual master will only chastise you if you have a relationship with him. a good relationship, then that's when he can chastise you. Otherwise, you just remain, he will just remain spiritual master and disciple on a superficial level. But when he actually chastises you, then you must know that, you are very dear to him, and that he's actually looking out for your welfare. So yeah, thank you. Hare Krishna.
Okay. Thank you, that was a wonderful comment. Just like when the father chastises his son, it seems very harsh. But the father never chastises anyone else's son, never chastises anyone else's children. So when you're accepted as a child of the spiritual master, then naturally some chastisement will come. And as you were saying, it's very necessary, because without the spiritual master cutting the sahankar, the false ego, we can never get real sincerity. It's very difficult to be sincere if you have false ego. It's not possible. Yeah, thank you so much.
Hare Krishna.
Anyone else? Any other comments? Chatraguna Prabhu? Anything? Arjunacharya Prabhu? Anything? Thank you so much. Good time to end. Hare Krishna. Entourage Srimad Bhagavatam ki. Srila Nartam Das Thakur ki.